Welcome back to Gangs All Here, our Jets podcast from the New York Post. Jake Brown here with a Jets beat writer for the Post, Brian Costello. Make sure you subscribe to the New York Post Sports YouTube page to watch all episodes, and wherever you get podcasts, just search for Gangs All Here. Well, Cos, there's no moral victories in the NFL. The Jets are still 1-3, but they gave us a hell of a fight. I mean, what an entertaining Sunday night game. And before the game even started, for the people at home watching, like me, we're already sick of the Taylor Swift sightings. My God, they showed her every 2 seconds. The references, the songs, everything. Welcome to New York, which is not even one of her good songs. Let me not say too many bad things about that, or Swifties come and attack you, because the Zach Wilson with the best game of his life. Who would have thought we would leave this game with Zach Wilson outplayed Patrick Mahomes? I didn't think I'd utter that sentence in the history of planet Earth, but he did, Kaz. And, the defense was not very good for the Jets. Yes, they forced a few turnovers, but they got off to a slow start. It was 17-0, and you were like, here we go. Blowout city. You get a weird safety on a penalty in the end zone, a field goal. You go into the half down 20-12. Defense plays much better in second half, nearly shuts them out until the end, but they lose 23-20. But, Kaz, it's hard to walk away from this game being that mad. And I know a lot of Jets fans and Coach Saleh and Sauce are mad at the holding call that, was very late. The flag came out super late after the interception happened. Jets fans, you have a right to be mad at that call. Jets also didn't get a few calls. There's video of Jermaine Johnson getting held for like 10 seconds, and they didn't call it on one play. So the officiating was not great. But, the Jets should have still found a way to win this game. But you can't be too mad if you're a Jets fan today.
No, I think there are moral victories, Jake, and this is a moral victory. Just consider where you were a week ago with this team, right? And all last week was one of the noisiest weeks I've ever had covering the Jets. From Joe Namath, his comments on the Michael Kay show, then Rodgers telling them to grow up on Pat McAfee show, all the noise around Zach. Should they bench him? They need another quarterback. Play Trevor Siemian, play anyone. I'll take anyone. All that, it was loud last week. It's going to be quieter this week. It's not going to be quiet, but it'll be quieter. And you feel like you have a season, right? There's hope now. I felt like hope was vanishing quickly with Jets fans, and now you have hope. And I think, and it's the same thing inside the Jets building. Are they going to be upset today a little bit? Yeah, they had a shot at knocking off Kansas City and didn't pull it off. But I think overall they're going to be pretty happy once the pain dissipates from that loss and they kind of look at the big picture. They just went toe to toe with the defending champs. So now everyone on the schedule, right? Eagles, that's going to be a tough game. The rest of it looks like, okay, Jets could win these games. They can win games again, right? And so I think the biggest thing as part of that is Zach Wilson. He showed you that one of my critiques of Zach Wilson, Jake, has been he didn't have one game that you pointed to and was like, he really controlled that game. Like with Sam Darnold, there was games where you're like, he controlled the game. Zach didn't have it till last night. He was in control from the second quarter on. He played really well, and then he had the costly fumble at the end. But you have to be encouraged by the way Zach Wilson played. And, I think I know everyone says no moral victories, but I think this was definitely a moral victory.
And I don't think it should be overlooked, Rodgers being there. I think that played a factor. I mean, you're playing. I know you're going to say no, but I think he's up there watching. He talked to him before the game.
It had nothing to do with Zach Wilson. Because I'm a little tired of this storyline. Like when Zach does anything well, like it was the summer was like Zach's playing better. Rodgers, like, give the kid credit. He played. He was the one on the field. I think Aaron Rodgers would be the first one to say that. I think Rodgers showing up Saturday may have galvanized the team a little bit. There was fractures coming. You could feel it coming last week, like especially on the offense. I thought there was a lot of finger pointing on the offense. And I think Rodgers came and said, "Hey guys, stop it, knock it off." And I think him just being there was a warm moment for the team, and I think that helped them. But don't take away from Zach Wilson. He went out and played his ass off, and he deserves all the credit.
No, he does. He played well, and He had a nice run. He had a couple incredible throws. The touchdown throw to Lazard was a laser. So this is his best game. Now he's got to have he's got to keep it up. There's a lot of
That's
people
the
want to
trick. That's the
want to
trick.
give him a Heisman Trophy. You want to call him the MVP. It's one game, and you got to go out and beat Denver. If you go lose to Denver next week, guys, and he throws 2 picks, it's like, all right, back to square one. Here comes Trevor Siemian. So he's got to have a repeat performance in Denver.
And that's the trick. That's the tricky part with Zach is, there have been good moments through, right. We talked about Pittsburgh, that fourth quarter in Pittsburgh last year. We talked about that a ton, and it didn't really carry over after that. And so, to be a good one, you have to be consistently do it. So yeah, you're right. I agree with you. I think he's got to go out and ball in Denver this week and figure out a way to win this game. And then you're talking, then you're at 2-3 facing a tough Eagles team and then the bye, but you're alive if you can beat this Broncos team.
And you got it. The Broncos nearly just lost to the Bears, who have beat no one in a year. So it's a must win. There's no other way around it.
Haven't you said must win for the last I don't know how many weeks, right?
I said it Patriots. I didn't say it this week.
Patriots game was definitely a must win. Right.
The Patriots was a must win more for morale's sake, for your record and for your playoff sanity. This is a must win in Denver. How about this stat? Zach Wilson is the only opposing QB to have more completions, more passing yards, more touchdown passes, and fewer interceptions than Patrick Mahomes in a Mahomes start, college or pro. That's 127 starts, including postseason. This was historic, guys.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about the source of that, Jake. I didn't retweet that because I'd never heard of that source, but you got to be careful with stuff on Twitter. But I mean, you don't really need stats. Everyone saw it. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes. Although Patrick Mahomes did some Patrick Mahomes things at the end of that game with the running for a 25-yard first down. I know Jermaine was held, but he still ran for 25 yards for a first down. And then icing the game with that run. So, I think the other guy, Jake, that deserves some credit is Nathaniel Hackett. He took a beating last week too.
Trickery. We finally saw some trickery.
Yeah, I didn't think the trickery did much. The flea flicker didn't really excite me.
The reverse to Gibson was a good one. That was a nice little play.
The first one,
not the first one. The first one was a disaster. Second one.
Yeah, I just give him credit. A lot of more play action, which clearly Zach was comfortable in. He did take some shots. I thought the first play of the game was going to be a shot. It wasn't there. So he clearly, he opened it up a little bit, which I think, people have to understand who the Denver defense lends itself to that. The Kansas City defense lends itself that a little bit more aggressive. New England was kind of sitting back and playing a shell, and it's hard to be really aggressive against New England. I think that's why he saw more checkdowns. So, I thought Hackett called a nice game. Now the last piece, Jake, right? I think they got to figure out the running game, right? Mm-hmm. The running game was non-existent except for that one long run by Brees, and he had another 11-yard run. Dalvin Cook looks done. I mean, maybe he's not, but he doesn't look good right now. But they got to figure out the running game. I thought the offensive line played well, Jake, too. They didn't get a lot of attention. They played pretty well. This new look line has definitely improved the team. So, we know the formula, Jake. I don't think the formula is having Zach throw as many times as he did last night. I can't remember what was it, 39 times he threw? That's probably not the way you want to go. You want to be a little bit lower than that, get the running game going and play defense from, the beginning of the game instead of just starting in the second quarter.
Yeah, they got to be able to run the football better. I was going to bring that up because, outside, that 43-yard run, it was 5 for 13 for Brees, 5 for 16, Dalvin Cook, 2 for 14, Zach, 2 for 13, Gibson, and 1 for 9, Micah Carter. And you're right. You were right about, Dalvin Cook, at least it looks like for now, he is a walking 2-yard run. He does not get more than 3 yards on a run. It's kind of a buzzkill when he's out there, it feels like.
He reminds me of Le'Veon. This is what Le'Veon looked like with the Jets, right? It was running to the line and there's nowhere to go. I think you have to consider Jake playing Michael Carter more. He's always been the third down back. He's been doing well in that role, but maybe he deserves a little bit more run over Cook. And then Brees has an 11-yard run. I don't remember what part of the game this was, Jake. He runs the ball for 11 yards on first down. They throw it to him for 7 yards, and then they take him out of the game and put Dalvin Cook in. I just don't get that. It's let Hall go. If he, if you're going to give Cook a series, okay, but when Brees is out there and he gets 11 yards on the first play and then catches one for 7 yards, keep him on the field. Keep feeding them the ball.
Yeah, and maybe they keep easing Brees into it, but
he's in. I mean, last week Jake he played 31 snaps last week. I mean, it's the pitch count stuff's over. He's back 100% in. So I don't think that's this. I think this is just we're gonna sub this guy in, that kind of the rotation stuff. But I would definitely be feeding Brees more, and I think Michael Carter deserves a little bit more run too.
Well, this game, was a Jake Brown special. I know you said they're quiet. It's the trick play talkers. You could have just put it at Jake Brown radio on that one. That's a Jake special. But the second reverse worked. They tried the flea flicker. Listen, there was guys wide open on the flea flicker.
No. The broadcast was totally wrong. The safety was coming over the top. Lazard, it would have had to have been a perfect throw to get to Lazard. The safety was The safety was sitting right over the top. That would have been that's why he couldn't throw it.
It was a tough play, but he was fairly. He was open for a little bit there. He was open.
The good news, Jake, is they didn't have to run trick plays. They ran their offense last night, and the offense worked. And he made good throws working within the system. He threw a seam route to Conklin that was beautiful over a linebacker's head. He made the touchdown throw to Lazard was beautiful. He was operating. He did both of his things last night, which is he operated the offense, and then when the play did break down, he made some plays. Like the long throw to Lazard, the 39-yarder. That was a play breaking down, and he found them. So that's exactly what you want from Zach Wilson. They didn't have to trick it up last night. They ran their offense. They just opened things up a little bit, and I think the defense allowed some of that with Kansas City the way they played. So I don't know if you can expect that every week because. Now the defensive coordinators are going to go to school on what they saw last night. And, the Denver defense hasn't been very good. They gave up 70 points 2 weeks ago, but we'll see what they can cook up for Zach Wilson.
And a beautiful throw. Everyone on the broadcast wanted to talk about Isaiah Pacheco, who had a great game. The Jersey Vineland, I think it is. Vineland. I don't know where the hell is that. Central? Is that South? Up North?
South.
That's South Jersey. He runs with authority. It was very interesting, when he had that run, then he got the first down, then he did push-ups. Then the Jets give up another 10-yard run to him. CJ Mosley does push-ups. The next play, CJ Mosley drops an interception right through his hands. Joe Beningo was somewhere screaming, this guy can't make a big play.
He made an interception. He had an interception now before the half. So
later, yeah. Although that one didn't matter as much. And that's the other part of this was in the moment, Kaz, I didn't hate going for the field goal just because Greg, the leg's pretty reliable. You get it to 2015. You only had 30 seconds left. I was more mad at the clock management leading up to that. They had 3 timeouts and they didn't use any up until then. I was use it with a minute left. Because if you had more time there, Kaz, and you're at the 35, you might be like, all right, we'll definitely go for this because we still have time to get to the end zone.
I know he didn't play well last night, but you do not want to give 15 time on the clock, Jake. How many times did Brady break your heart at the end of a first half driving down the field? If you're using your timeouts and you don't convert, now if you give Mahomes a minute, you might score. So that's all about not letting Mahomes get the ball back. I'm opposite of you, Jake. In the moment, I was going go for it because it felt like the Jets had all the momentum going their way. Go try to punch it in. Salah's explanation made sense to me. 30 seconds, you're probably going to end up kicking a field goal. But my argument to him would be, well, that would be a closer field goal, right? And so if you go for it on 4th and 1 and you don't make it, it's the same situation as missing the field goal, right? And so 52-yarder, you'd think Zerline makes it, but there's a chance. So I would have gone for it. I do get his explanation, Jake, and I think I saw Seth Walder, our old friend at ESPN, he tweeted that their model said they should have kicked the field goal. So analytics was with them on that one.
And I get what you're saying about the clock, but I felt they would have had more time to operate offensively without having a rush if they used one with 55 seconds left and then you got more time and then you go for it.
That's the balance, Jake, but the risk is giving Mahomes time. So, and I think Salah always plays like that. He always manages the game like that. And he's a defensive coach. He's thinking about defense. I also think it's fair to be more fearful of Patrick Mahomes than trusting in Zach Wilson at that moment. So I was okay with, that part of it, the time management, but I would have gone for it on 4th and 1.
The other guy I just mentioned, the local New Jersey, can't forget Mr. Long Island, Jeremy Ruckert sighting. I mean, a beautiful throw to Ruckert. simple, we said keep it simple, get it to your playmakers. When it comes to keeping it simple, the tight end screen. I think one of them to Rucker was a screen, or to Uzama was a screen. They got the screen involved. They had Garrett. You said get it to your playmakers. They had a few just 1 yard passes to Garrett and watch him work, get him 7-8 yards, chip away to get in that first down. I thought getting Rucker involved, we've been clamoring for that cause, was important for this offense.
Yeah, no, I mean they didn't run the ball very. My idea was Rucker in the running game, but at least he was out there. They did throw it to him. Yeah, no, I think that was a good step, Jake. That he stood out this spring and summer and deserves to be on the field. So maybe him out there can get the running game going a little bit more too.
And CJ Uzama, I didn't realize it was a 1 yard. I don't know why I thought it was a longer catch. It was a 1 yard touchdown catch, but it was a good one.
It was probably like a 20-yard throw, but it was because it was all the way to the sideline.
Yeah, he had a couple good plays. I mean, Conklin drops a touchdown. You probably got to catch that.
Zach,
it's a tough play.
I mean, it was a low throw. Like Zach afterwards said, it wasn't a good throw. It was I think it was a tough. I haven't watched it again, but it looked like live. It looked like a pretty tough catch.
I think what Cobb said to the team, and maybe Rodgers being there, whatever it is, him after the game, I think it was great that he said this loss is on me. That's the first time he's really done that, Cobb. And I think that's a sign of maybe maturity, growing up, and maybe the confidence he has from playing well. He's more frustrated that he lost because he played so well. So I think it was important that he said that.
Yeah, Jake, I've been critical of him, like in terms of I didn't see it this summer in terms of him making a huge leap as a quarterback. He's a different guy, though. He's a completely different person than he was last year or the year before. I think last year humbled him greatly. I think the New England experience humbled him. I think what happened against Jacksonville humbled him. I think losing his job humbled him. So I do feel like he matured a lot. And that's why when some people are like, oh, the locker room, they don't like him. I don't think that's the case. I think guys like him. And I think he really helped himself last night. Everyone, you have to play well. That's what really matters. So I think he helped himself greatly last night with the way he played. But yeah, I thought the post game, Jake, was a big step in the right direction too, because we killed him on post games in the past, obviously the New England one. But that was a good step that he did that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he saw Randall Cobb take accountability after claiming the loss was on him for a Hail Mary. And he said, you know what, let me take a page out of that leader's. He's a pro Cobb. And I think that was good that Zach did that. Someone tweeted me, you're eating crow today. They still lost the game. So let's calm down. I want to see Zach continue to do this. I think every fan is rooting for him to do well. No one's like, I hope he fails and they get rid of him. If he does well, great. But I hope he does well and they win games. This one is an outlier. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. But, beat the Bears and then compete against the Eagles going to the bye and you're feeling a lot better. These next few games are very important because, on the last show, I had brought up, Ryan Tannehill, Kirk Cousins are the names at the, knocking at the door. The Titans.
They're not, Jake. They're not. That's not happening.
I'm just saying,
not happening. No, people are just saying anything. It's not happening. There's no truth in it. There's no reality to it. They're not bringing in another quarterback. If it's not going to be Zach, it's going to be Trevor Siemian. Like, you can roll your eyes at me. I talk to people. They're not bringing anyone in here.
You're saying it's a 0% chance.
0% chance.
All right.
Yeah.
Heard it here first.
It is Trevor Siemian. They can't afford it, Jake. Like, people, they can't afford to do that. Like, those quarterbacks cost a lot of money. And the Vikings makes below zero sense. Why would they? If the Vikings trade Kirk Cousins, they're basically waving a white flag to their locker room. It's over. They don't have another quarterback. Tennessee makes a little bit of sense because they've drafted 2 quarterbacks in the last couple of years. So maybe they turn it over to them. But, like, name me, Jake, the last starting quarterback that got traded in the middle of a season. Go ahead. Huh?
Wait, what? Crack research stuff.
What? No, go ahead. Who?
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
No one has ever traded their starting quarterback at the middle of a season. The biggest middle season quarterback trade is Jimmy G. And he was a backup that wasn't going to get on the field because Tom Brady was playing forever. So this doesn't happen. And so people have to get over that. It's going to be Zach Wilson. And if it's not Zach Wilson, it's going to be Trevor Siemian. But Zach bought himself a lot of time last night. Right. He's no longer, the leash is no longer short. He's got at least these 2 games now going to the bye, but there's no savior riding in here on a white horse unless Aaron Rodgers comes back, which, he told Melissa Stark,
Yeah, what was that about? He says he's going to be back this year. Like, does he
Yeah.
think this team's in the race late December and he's back for week 17? Is
Boy,
miraculous? Is that like what a doc? I mean, I guess he won't listen to a doctor. The team doctors are like, this is a bad idea, and we will not let you do this. Like, is
they
that? Do you think
could.
there's an actual possibility?
I mean, look, there's no one inside the Jets organization telling Aaron Rodgers what to do. All right, let's start there. No coaches, no Woody Johnson isn't telling him what to do. Aaron does whatever he wants to do. Okay, so if he says I'm coming back, I don't think they're going to stop him. But it seems like ludicrous to me. Like this would just be feels like a bad idea because if they're in position to do anything, Jake, like when we're talking January, like first week of January, maybe something like that. If they're in that position, then Zach Wilson's played well. Then the team, then you don't really then you want a guy who hasn't played football in 12 months to come in and play quarterback. Like I get it, he's Aaron Rodgers, but and the risk, I'm not a doctor, Jake, as you know, but a 40-year-old coming in and playing off of a ruptured Achilles, like it feels like a bad idea to me.
I mean, you have played the part of a doctor on the show. You have been Dr. Kaz on the show before.
That's more of a psychiatrist though than an ankle or foot specialist. Jay, I'll give you a 1% chance because I never say 0% chance on anything. So I'll give you a 1% chance because I don't like to do 0% but I'll give you a 1% chance they trade for a quarterback, but that's like or 0.001% maybe something like that.
So you're saying there's a
You never
chance.
say never, Jake. I've learned that through the years.
Oh, listen, that last game happens to be January 7th in Foxborough against the Patriots, where Zach Wilson
so it'll be 12 degrees.
Yeah.
Right. And it just has a bad there's an old Saturday Night Live skit, Jake, bad idea jeans. And this is bad idea jeans. This is not if Aaron needs that to, if he wants that carrot to drive himself through 5 hours of rehab every day or whatever Melissa Stark says he's doing, then I get it. But yeah, I don't see that as a reality.
Winning in Foxborough. Jets look to snap the 7-year losing streak, and out comes Rodgers. It would be a hell of a story. And part of it's he's all the haters, everyone's saying he's done. He's probably working extra hard to get back. But I think it's good that he's there. I think you credit Zach, but I think it's good there. The morale, like you said, he come to the locker room. I guess the guy's got to be fired up that he's there and back, and hopefully that plays a part. Go beat Denver next week. We'll preview that on Thursday. But
I do think he's going back to California. They said.
Oh, he's not going to be
I think this was a cameo. Yeah, I think his plan
Taylor
is
Swift,
to rejoin the team after the bye week permanently.
Okay,
but yeah, that's what NBC reported. He was going back to California this week to have his stitches removed.
All right. Well, it was a good one-time occurrence there. But overall, if you're a Jets fan, you got to be satisfied. Now go do it again. It's not this can't be the Baja Man. It can't be a one-hit wonder. It can't be Gloria Gaynor. This can't be a one-hit wonder. You got to go out, and Gloria Gaynor might have had some others, but the only one everyone knows is I Will Survive. But we got to see it again. It was fun to watch. There was one too where he had a play action where he put the ball behind his back and fooled the entire defense. It was almost like you said, like how he looked in training camp at times.
Well, that's a Rodgers effect that is clear. His play action has gotten better. His fakes, because Rodgers is unbelievable with his fakes, like what you watched in training camp. There was days where you're like, oh my, like you didn't know where the ball was. And I do think he's taught Zach some of that stuff.
And to the officials, be better. It's Rocky on the stage, that primetime stage where every commercial is Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes and Taylor Swift's there, and the whole broadcast that you throw a flag, 10 seconds after an interception happens. They got to be better. I won't get fined by the NFL by saying that.
They were terrible.
Can't say it, but
they were terrible all night, Jake, and it kind of went both ways for most of the night. Like the
horse collar the Jets got the benefit of that.
Bad call.
Yeah.
There was another one the Jets got. I can't remember, but they pointed out on the broadcast earlier in the game. But the fourth quarter felt like it was all going the Chiefs' way. I thought that was intentional grounding. They didn't call it. Obviously, the call on the non-call on Jermaine, then the call on Sauce. So yeah, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, Jake, but the NFL updated their profile right after the game. What was it? Somebody sent it to me. I think it was their Instagram. The Chiefs are 2-0 as Swifties. So like they're eating this Taylor Swift stuff up, and it was like, so I'm not a conspiracy theorist, Jake, but I'm also not going to push back today.
Yeah, I mean, there's something behind it. It's alarming, and let's see, next week what happens and beyond. But it's a little bit alarming, and it is frustrating that so many Swift, like, just to be in the same building with her, like, people like need to.
Were they there, Jake? I will say this: there was a lot of red in the building. There were a lot of Chiefs.
They were. The ticket sales skyrocketed. I forget the actual number, but
I know, but I just wondered if
skyrocketed.
that was Chiefs fans pouncing on tickets. I don't know, because when they did the national anthem, you weren't there, right? You didn't go.
No.
The national anthem, Jake, they did, and they go home of the Chiefs at Arrowhead. They did home of the Chiefs here. It sounded like Arrowhead. So there was a lot of Chiefs fans there. I couldn't tell if there was a lot of Swifties in the.
Well, they said that the Kelsey jerseys like went up like 245 or 400% or something jersey sales. So a lot of new Swifties there. People, I know, like, girls who are Swifties who have never seen in a football game in my life. They're like, oh yeah, go Chiefs. I'm like, what? Where did this come from? So there's a lot of people who've come out of the woodworks for this. Did you hand out any friendship bracelets in the press box?
I don't have any friends, Jake, so I didn't hand them out. So.
Oh god, that'll be added to the soundboard.
Yeah, I try to stay to myself in the press box, not commiserate with those guys.
You did not expect when it was 17-0 that you would have got the entertaining game that you got. Though that was a hell of a show to watch.
Okay, so I didn't do a score on this show. I ended up picking 27-17 was my score for the Chiefs, and people were like, how do you think the Jets are going to score 17 points? Are you crazy? They're not going to score 17 points. So they did. And if the Chiefs had scored there at the end instead of Mahomes going down around the clock, it would have been 30-20. So I would have been on the money with the number. But yeah,
don't even talk about on the money and that spread and what he did there. I mean, that was minus 6.5 was out the door, minus 7.5, minus 8.5, and minus 9.5. We're all out the door because Patrick Mahomes would not take the touchdown. It was a
smart football
play. Bad play for everyone who bet on the Chiefs. I won't say if I did, but I would have liked him to score.
Jake betting against the Jets.
6.5. I was like, they're gonna win, but maybe a touchdown. Listen. I did one where the Jets win, but
can we do a minute on the Mets, Jake? How do you feel about the Buck news?
I was there. I was in Delta Club in the bathroom as I'm looking on Twitter, and then boom, it comes up. I did go to the game because the weather was beautiful yesterday. It was a perfect day for baseball, and it was kind of emotional leaving the park. It's the right move. I mean, new president, younger team, lame duck manager. A year where you might not have the same projections like Billy Epler says. I think that was the right move. I don't think Buck is the reason they lost, but I do think he kind of lost the locker room a little bit this year, and the team sucked, and he deserves some blame for that. So I think it was the right move. I think the Mets are headed in a positive direction. Either get Craig Counsell, whoever it is, Otani or Yamamoto. You get one of the Japanese players. I was negative. I hated the deadline. I hated what they did. I hated the season, but I've turned the page, and Stearns is a genius. Everyone talks about this guy like he's an absolute genius. Went to Harvard. He's, what he did with the Brewers, who had no money, is incredible. Now he's got all the money in the world. There's no reason Stearns can't be effective here. And listen, they got a good core in place. It's not like they have a bunch of bums out there. They need starting pitching and guys to lead up to the bullpen. And you got the young bats. You got Mauricio next year. So I felt bad because Buck was emotional. Like once they tributed him, he goes to the dugout. He's like writing things on paper. I'm like, what are you writing? The season's over. This game means nothing. And that was clearly him deflecting. I think he was crying under the shades. And so for the guy and for him, I feel terrible. But I mean, I've said this before, being a fired manager and a backup quarterback, two of the greatest jobs in the history of mankind. He's going to get paid to do nothing next year. It's a hell of a life. And he's going to get paid handsomely to not have a job, Kaz. So, a lot of Jets coaches have gone through that, and it's not a bad gig.
Yeah. I'll give you my coaching, Jake. My softball team, we rallied on Saturday. We were down 8 runs going into the last inning. We scored 15 runs in the last inning to win the game. Wow. So
And he scored. Was it the top of the inning? You scored 15. Isn't it over if you scored 9?
Top. Yeah, with the
Okay.
top of the inning. Yeah,
And then your closer shut him down in the bottom of the
shut
inning.
him down. Yeah.
Wow.
And, I called for the bunt to lead off the inning, and it worked.
My favorite play. Good call. Great coaching.
Yes. It was great day for the West Orange Wildcats.
A 15-run inning. Good. Usually that sounds miserable, but if it's to come back and win a game,
you do it. Yeah. Great. When you're doing it, it's great. Yeah.
There was a lot of walks, I'd imagine, in that inning. It couldn't be all hits.
We hit the ball though. Yeah, there were some walks, but there was a 3-run home run. There was a triple. There was some big hitting. It wasn't all walks.
I didn't cash that on Sports Center last night. The 15-run inning. We need some tape. Yeah. We need highlights there. ESPNU or something.
Yeah, you should have bet West Orange too, Jake.
Couldn't find them on DraftKings. Yeah, couldn't see them on FanDuel.
Parlayed them.
Yeah, that would have been a good parlay. Same game parlay. Everyone in the lineup to get a hit. I would have cashed out. Would have retired. Well, the Jets will take on the Bears coming up, or the Broncos, excuse me, who barely squeaked by the Bears, and we'll preview that game on Thursday, and we'll close out this episode of Gangs All Here next. All right, that's good night to episode 153 of Gangs All Here, Jets podcast from the New York Post. Thanks to Andrew Hartz for helping me in producing the show. Subscribe to Gangs All Here and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon, wherever you get podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating, write in a nice review on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to the New York Post Sports YouTube page. Give us a thumbs up below and comment below. What do you think about the Jets now? How are you feeling after Zach Wilson's best game as a Jet? And listen, I'm rooting for the guy. So whoever tweeted me, eat crow. They lost the game. I mean, we got to see this consistently because we've seen there's been, a couple games he's been good and then the next week was terrible. So let's see it over the course of time versus 3 quarters. But I was happy to see it. I was on the couch watching, thrilled. I mean, it was must-see TV. It was a feeling we've been lacking for so long, watching a competent offense, and it was fun to watch. Now keep it going. Win games and keep it going. Because you're 2-3 next week. Who knows playing the Eagles? The Eagles almost lost to the Commanders. So you never know. Eagles, it's a home game. I'm sure there'll be a ton of Eagle fans. But if you find a way to get to 3-3 going to the bye, you're feeling a whole lot different. People are feeling different even after a loss to the Chiefs there. So, the spirits are much better. But if you go lose to Denver, the season's still pretty much over. So you have to win this game. And the Broncos look so bad. Broncos defense looks so bad that Zach should feast against this defense. He has to be able to feast against a Broncos defense that gave up 28 to the Bears, that gave up 70 to the Dolphins. You can't go lose 17-13 next week. Go out and win. And the defense, you better show up because the defense was not very good. I know they had a couple of picks, but to get off to that slow start, it's 17-0 immediately. This thing could have got ugly. So the defense has to play better. Got to put more pressure on the quarterback. Mahomes had all day sometimes out there. Just got to be able to sack the quarterback. They got to be able to do that next week. And the quarterback will be Russell Wilson. So you got to be able to knock Russ down and not let Russ cook. Well, we'll be back Thursday to preview that Jets-Broncos game. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Gangs All Here. We'll talk to you on Thursday.